Good day and welcome to the IEEE Computer Society's Learning Series. Today's presentation is entitled Chapters by Jill Gostin. Jill is a member of our Board of Governors on the IEEE Computer Society, and she's the Vice Chair of Outreach and Geographic Activities Committees for the MGA Board. The Learning Series webinars are designed for our members to learn, grow, and engage with the IEEE Computer Society. My name is Ted Rosales, and I'm a Senior Manager with the membership team, and I support our professional and student chapters. I'll be moderating today's webinar. So first, a few housekeeping items. You'll be able to personalize and enlarge your screen, so feel free to customize the size of the images. You can control the volume and playback on your computer using the master volume on your laptop. And at the end of our presentation, we'll have time for questions and answers. So as the questions occur to you, please type them in the box provided on the left and press the send button. You do not need to wait until the end of the presentation to send in your questions. If you experience any audio or visual difficulties, you can also use the Q&A box to submit your issue, and we will respond to you. So today's topic is chapters. The IEEE Computer Society chapters are the local arm of the IEEE Computer Society. They're a part of the bigger picture, but each chapter has its own challenges, strengths, and membership needs. Join us now as we discuss chapters and address these questions. How does my chapter fit into the bigger picture of the Computer Society? Where do I fit in as a member of a local chapter? How will I benefit from chapter participation? How does my chapter benefit from my participation? And finally, what if I don't have a local chapter? Now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Jill Gostin has a Master's in Science in Applied Mathematics from the Georgia Institute of Technology and is a Principal Research Scientist and the Deputy Director of the Information and Communications Laboratory at the Georgia Tech Research Institute. She has authored or co-authored numerous technical papers and won several awards. Jill serves on the Computer Society as the MGA Board Vice Chair for Outreach and also serves on 3 additional committees. She is the past chair of the IEEE Atlanta Computer Society chapter, and Gostin is also a member of the Aerospace and Electronic Systems Society and Women in Engineering. Jill, we look forward to your presentation today. Please begin.
Thanks, Ted, and welcome to everybody. It's good to be here today to speak with all of you. I frequently spend time speaking and working with our volunteers that plan and lead meetings, but today I'm especially looking forward to addressing those of you that attend meetings to talk about what you can get from the meetings and what you can bring to the meetings. The meetings are the core part of IEEE, and so they're very important, and the chapter is a very important component then of IEEE. My email address is included here. We welcome any questions and comments. As discussed, we'll have a time at the end where we address some comments that are submitted. But if at any time you also have other questions, you have my email address now, and you're welcome to email me at any time. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, what is a chapter? For many of the people that attend a chapter meeting, that's really their personal exposure to IEEE. We often get online exposure or emails or go on to the IEEE website, but this is the place where you can have personal exposure, personal contacts with other IEEE members, and other people that are not IEEE members that are in your field. So the chapter is the local component of the technical society. A computer society chapter is the arm, the local arm of the IEEE Computer Society. And the IEEE Computer Society is the largest society in IEEE with over 60,000 members. Chapter's members are made up of people who share common technical interests and live in the same geographic area, although sometimes that geographic area can be very large. It may even encompass multiple countries. And chapter activities are open to both members and non-members, and they might include everything from things like formal technical presentations, professional development events such as a panel discussion of hiring managers or someone who comes to talk about interviewing skills. They might include workshops where you can attend and earn some CEU credits, some continuing education credits. Sometimes they include things like tours, demos, social functions where you can even involve your families. So there's lots of different types of events that can be offered through your chapter. So let's look at the bigger picture of how chapters fit into IEEE. The two of the major operational units within IEEE are the Technical Activities Board, known as TAB, and the Member and Geographic Activities Board, known as MGA. And on the technical side, IEEE has 39 technical societies that cover all sorts of varied technical areas, things such as there's a Nuclear and Plasma Sciences Society, there's a Social Implications Society, there's a EMBS, Engineering and Medicine and Biology Society, Signal Processing Society. So there's all these different technical societies, and one of those societies, the one we're talking about today, is the Computer Society. On the MGA side, the world is divided into 10 different regions, and within each of those regions are divided into sections based on geographic area. So everybody in IEEE, when you join, based on where you live, you are put into a section, based on your geographic location. However, not everyone in IEEE is a member of a society. That's something you choose. You can choose whichever society you want to belong to based on your technical interests, or you don't even have to choose a society. So chapters actually exist under both of these groups. A chapter is part of the technical society, but it also exists within the geographic section. So, and within that section, often there are multiple chapters representing all different technical societies, depending on the people in that area. What are the interests and technical fields that are covered in that area? The Atlanta section, my home section, for instance, has 17 different technical society chapters represented. So there can be some sections that maybe don't have that many people and they don't have any specific chapters, but some sections have a large number of chapters. So sometimes you'll actually hear, and you can see from this picture, chapters fall under both the society and the section. So sometimes you'll hear people refer to a chapter as having two parents. So I want to look at the makeup of a chapter. What are the parts that together make up a chapter? So first, there are elected or appointed officers. If the chapter is big enough, there's often elections, but sometimes it's not, and so officers are appointed by the section. And that's the core team that drives all of the activities in the chapter. But supporting those officers, they usually have several committee chairs and their committees, and that will depend, again, on the size of the chapter and how many members they have and how active they are. But these committees can be anything like a program committee that helps select what programs are going to be presented throughout the year. Awards, you can have local awards that you give to your members for service or for a technical achievement. Publicity, membership, things like social media. You may have a committee that does your website. That's really up to the committee, up to the chapter to determine what committees they want to have. Also, there are volunteers that may be involved in the chapter at different levels doing different things. They may not officially be part of a committee, or they may not be an officer, but maybe it's somebody that says, hey, I've got a few minutes to get early to that meeting. I can help you set up or sit at the welcome, at a check-in desk. Or maybe it's somebody that has some time that really likes STEM events, so they always go and help participate at STEM events. So there's people that get involved at different levels that aren't officially a member of a committee or an elected officer, but they still participate actively through these other types of service. And those types of service can be something very small, like coming to help set up the room or take down the room after the meeting's over, to the bigger activities. So it just depends on their time commitment and what they want to do. But then there's also the most important component, and that's the meeting participants. And this is who all those other people are working to support, to provide a good meeting experience for people that want to attend the meeting. And those attendees, they can be members and they can be non-members. They don't have to be members to attend one of the meetings. But also sometimes there are events where family members come. At our local Computer Society chapter events, we frequently have people that bring their children, especially if there's like a demonstration or a tour that's going to happen. So where do I fit in my chapter? The first thing to do is to find out if you have a local chapter, if you don't already know that. And I've included links here that you'll be able to get off the website later that are the links to where you can locate both professional and student chapters. And we have chapters all around the world, so you can click on those links and see if you have a chapter nearby. Once you identify your chapter, you can then find out about local chapter meetings. And the best way to do that is to either go to the chapter website or the section website, and usually those meetings will be listed. Or if they don't have meetings listed, they'll probably have the officers listed, and you can contact one of them and find out if there are any upcoming meetings that aren't listed. So another tool that's available through IEEE that many chapters use is vTools, and there's a link in this presentation to vTools. And you can go to vTools and you can search for meetings in your area. You can also search for meetings in other areas if you want to, and it's possible that maybe they're having a webinar that you could participate in. But it's a good resource for finding out what meetings are available. Many chapters use email notices, so if you're a member or if you're on their mailing list, you may get an e-notice that comes out about upcoming meetings. So you need to make sure that, so what IEEE calls their email notices is called e-notices. So if you get an e-notice, you need to make sure that your mail is set up to not send an e-notice to junk folder, so you can review those as they come in. So when you find a meeting or when you contact the leadership, don't ever hesitate to let them know what you like to do, what kinds of meetings interest you. They'll get some idea from that simply based on what meetings you attend. But they always want to hear new ideas, and they want to hear what is of interest to the people that are local to them. And the Computer Society covers a very wide range of areas. So something that occurs to you that might be of interest may not occur to someone else. So they need to hear those ideas from you. So you can actually influence the types of meetings that your officers present. And not only as far as topics go, but you can influence the type of meeting. For my local chapter, we asked everyone in the local area what kinds of meetings they wanted, and we found out that they did not want technical presentations. They wanted demos and they wanted tours. So that's what we focus on. We do occasional technical presentations, but because the members expressed more interest in the demos and tours, that's what our focus area is. So you can really influence what types of presentations happen. If you want to have a family event, bring that up and just mention it. The chapter leadership loves to get those types of suggestions that help them with their planning. And you don't have to speak up if you don't want to talk to them at the meeting. Go ahead and find their email address and email them some suggestions. They appreciate whatever feedback they can get. You may attend a few meetings and see if there's something that sparks your interest. And at that point, you may say that you want to get involved and help with something. They're not going to just come up and say, oh, you're here, we expect you to now do something. But they may ask at some point, or you may offer at some point. And it's always fine to say, I'm not available now, I can't do that right now, I have time. We all understand family commitments and work commitments. But you may find that there is something that somewhere down the road you have time for, or you find you have time, a half hour in an evening to help out with something. There are opportunities for you to help with your chapter, even if it's just helping by sending an email of lists of potential ideas for chapter meetings. So what's in it for you? What do you get out of attending meetings? So this is a picture here of an actual chapter meeting. And in this meeting, it looks like they're having a technical presentation. So the attendees might be learning about some technology that they aren't familiar with that will help them in their current or maybe even a future career. Often they are getting continuing education credits, CEUs, that may be required for some certification that they have. A lot of those certifications require that you take so many CEU credits per year. And so often a chapter meeting can provide you with the opportunity to earn those credits. The chapter may also give you an opportunity to go on interesting tours or to see demonstrations of things you wouldn't otherwise get to see. My local chapter at one point visited the Atlanta Department of Transportation headquarters, and we went to see the operations site. They had a wall full of screens showing traffic issues across the state, and we had someone talk to us about the technologies that they were using that helped them automatically identify problems, to contact whatever right person was needed to deal with that problem, to send messages to those automated traffic display boards, and then to watch an event and follow it through until it was resolved. So you get an opportunity to do things that on your own you may not have that opportunity. And a lot of those types of things, as I said earlier, are the things that family members might be able to attend and might be really interested in. So at chapter meetings, you also might find other people with similar interests, allowing you to grow your network. And I know networking can be kind of an overused word right now, but it's important. Building your network does so many things to help you in your career. You can learn about what others are doing in your field. You can build up your business contacts and get a broader understanding of what technologies are happening in your own community. It can help you identify new career opportunities and help you accelerate your professional development. It can also become a knowledge resource for you. For example, if you need to know about something that is new to you, a new technology, or something that is just outside your normal field, you may have someone in your network that you can email and ask or call up and ask about it who may know something, or they may know where to point you to, whether that's another person or to a website. So it can really help you with your own knowledge resources. And also it will help you identify opportunities for mentor-mentee relationships. And that could be either you as the mentor or as the mentee. And sometimes those are formalized relationships where you talk to each other about, yes, let's work together in this sort of mentor relationship. Or it could be something just an informal where something has happened and you learn something from someone and watch them closely, although maybe they don't even know you're really paying attention to what it is they're doing. And a few more things that are in it for you if you attend the chapter meetings. You have the opportunity to become involved in joining or starting a project. And this could be like a service project, something like a STEM event for a local school, or a humanitarian project, or it could just be a technical project. I know of someone in the robotics and automation chapter who decided he wanted to build a very lifelike robot, and he talked with his chapter and got them excited about it, and then talked with his other technical chapters in his section, including his Computer Society chapter, and got them involved, and ended up with a lot of people who didn't normally come to meetings, didn't come to their technical meetings, but wanted to get involved in this project. So they had this new group of people that were involved because of this project. So it was just a fun project that he wanted to do and started, and got a lot of people excited about it and involved. So the other thing that you can get from your chapter is learning leadership skills. As you become involved in projects or as you become involved in volunteering and leading. For me personally, I ended up getting a promotion about 9 months ago, and I think something that played a key role in me getting that promotion was my service in IEEE at all different levels. I think that played a role in it. And I know that when I am reviewing employees, that's something that we look for, is service to their society and how that is helping to build up their leadership skills. And finally, by participating in these meetings, you gain more control over the direction, the path of your career. And this can be either through expanding your network or by attending professional development meetings like I talked about that may have interviewing skills or how to write a good resume. It helps you decide for yourself where your career is headed. So how does your participation help your chapter? First and foremost, you help by providing that feedback to the volunteers who run those chapter meetings, because that's what they need to know what is needed by the people in their area. They'll see and notice how many people attend particular meetings, which then helps them decide the best time to run a meeting, where to hold the meeting, what topics, what type of meeting to have. It helps them decide all those things. And of course, verbal feedback helps too. Another thing, you can share your experiences with other attendees and hear about their experiences, which helps enhance the computing profession. We get a broader understanding of everything that's happening. You'll meet with people that are not your normal contacts, not the people that you see every day at work, people outside of work, outside of your regular home life, and you can encourage and engage each other through participation and talking about what your work is involved in and what your interests are. And also, you never know who's watching and learning from you. As I said, some of these mentor-mentee relationships are informal. And so by you attending and actively participating in meetings, there may be some other person that's watching and saying, hey, maybe I should be doing this too, whether it's somebody at a meeting or somebody at your work who doesn't currently go to meetings. And finally, you have an opportunity to be a part of the voice of the computing profession. You can give feedback to us at the Computer Society. We listen to the members and try to respond to what they want and what they need. They help us identify what those new technologies are that we need to be thinking about in the future of the profession. We want your help and your input with that. So we've talked a lot about chapters, but now we need to talk about what if you don't have a local chapter. You still have several options, and the first thing I would recommend is that you attend your local section meeting. Sometimes meetings are webinars, so you might only have to dial in. You may not have to attend in person. But find out what chapters you do have in your section, if you have any. Perhaps one of them holds meetings that would be of interest to you. You can also view technical and professional presentations. We have recordings of some of those, and we will provide a link at a later time. We don't have the link on here right now, but we'll provide a link to some of those where you can go in and search for different topics that might be of interest to you and listen to the recorded presentation. You can use IEEE's Collaboratech, our social and technical networking site, to identify other people that share your interests, and then also to participate in active discussions about technical topics of interest. You can even share documents and share information through Collaboratech. Or you can decide to start your own chapter. So if you know that you have several people in your section that are interested in computer topics, you may want to form a chapter. And all you need is 12 members that will sign a petition saying they want to start a chapter. And you'll need to identify a chair, and then your section chair can submit that petition to start a new chapter. It's not a difficult process. And it can be a standalone chapter if you have enough people to drive that and to have sufficient meetings. Or you could form a joint chapter. Maybe a lot of the people in the computer field in your area are involved in robotics, so maybe you want to have a joint robotics computer society chapter. There's a lot of options there for what you do. And we are always happy to help you with starting up a chapter, or even how to get it kicked off once you have formally formed the chapter, how to get those first meetings rolling. Just talk to us. We're willing to help you with that in any way we can. So finally, just looking at chapters by the numbers, as you can see, we have, as I mentioned earlier, 10 different regions around the world, and many computer society chapters in each of those regions. In fact, we have a total of almost 500 computer society chapters right now, including both professional and student chapters. And as I said, if there's not one near you, consider starting one. We're glad to help in any way. And not only with starting it out, getting it set up, but also with starting the chapter and kicking off your first few meetings. So that's all I had to talk about now, but we're open to questions. And also, if you have any ideas or suggestions, I'd like to hear that also.
Well, thank you, Jill. there have been several questions regarding copies of the slides and recording of this webinar. So yes, you will be receiving the slides tomorrow via email, and we post all of the recordings of our webinars on the Learning Series webpage on computer.org. So look for that email tomorrow with the slides, and then again you'll be able to see the recording of this presentation on computer.org. So Jill, we have the first question here. When starting a chapter, the organizer serves as the interim chair. How are the other interim officers selected?
So from my understanding, that is usually appointed by either the section chair or the interim chair to start off. After that, it's preferable if you have the ability to do it, is for the next year to go ahead and hold elections. But usually when you're starting off, those are appointed positions. And often it's somebody from those 12 people that signed the petition to start the chapter.
Very good. The next question on slide 12, there is no local chapter in my section, and you mentioned there's an option to view technical and professional presentation recordings. Is there a link to see these types of recordings?
There is a link. I tried to get it before we started, and unfortunately I did not, but I will include that later, so you will have that link to where you can go and view all those recordings.
Fantastic. Next question, are there any suggestions to get funding for chapters events?
So I know that if you want to bring one of our distinguished visitors, one of our lecturers to your meeting, that the Computer Society provides some of the funding to cover that, to get them there, and then you provide the funding locally to support that. Other funding options are often your section. So your section will get some rebate based on your local chapter, based on how many meetings they have. And so that funding is supposed to go directly to the chapter. And often you can then also petition or go speak to your section about getting additional funding. I don't know of other funding sources. Well, locally we have had some companies that have provided speakers at their cost instead of ours, which that has been successful for us. I don't know if, Ted, if you know of other funding options, or Ted or Eric, if you know of other funding options there.
Yeah, I think that covers the main sources of funding, whether it's from the section, depending upon the number of meetings you have and the number of members you have that attend your meetings, as well as the Distinguished Visitors Program, where the Computer Society covers the cost of getting speakers to travel to your city, and then the local chapter covers the other costs. Eric?
This is Eric as well. I would not also shy away from asking some of the technology companies in the area if they'd be willing to sponsor or support some food and beverage for the event. A lot of times they have discretionary funds, and they'd be more than willing to help you out.
Yeah, that's true. We've gotten support in that way also.
Fantastic. Our next question is about student chapters. How many numbers of student members are required to start a student chapter? So I can take that one. The petition to start a student chapter requires 6 Computer Society members, student members, so only 6 students, as well as a faculty advisor and also a chapter chair or chapter organizer. So you fill out a form. It's a real simple, easy form that's on our webpage for the chapter's website. You also indicate the name of the branch that it's a part of under IEEE, and that's basically it. The petition is reviewed, and you hear back within a few business days, and that's how student chapters begin. Anything else for that, Jill?
No, that sounds good.
Wonderful. Next question. After our student chapter is established, what are the requirements to remain active?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I know for professional chapters, they are supposed to have at least 2 meetings a year. Is that the same? I don't know, Ted, is that the same for student chapters?
Yeah, I believe so. There's a requirement for at least 2 meetings per year. Of course, the other challenge with chapters being active is just the pure fact that students graduate and they need to have an officer and an advisor and 6 members to continue moving forward. So I know that there is some turnover and in terms of who will be taking over as the next chair.
This is Eric Berkowitz again. I just wanted to add that unlike your professional chapters, which will get disbanded if activity does not occur and they have to go through the formal process of reapplying, that's not necessarily the case with a student chapter because, as Ted indicated, there is a lot of turnover. Students graduate and move along and new leadership roles need to be taken on. The formal process, once a chapter is in place, the chapter is in place. They're never going to be disbanded unless the actual IEEE student branch at the campus has gone away.
Very good. Our next question, should I consult a local chapter or another group to discuss product creation opportunities?
Again, this is one I'm not sure about. We might have to have staff answer that because, it is a nonprofit entity, and this sounds like a question about a product that would become marketable. Eric or Ted, do you know how to answer this?
Eric, do you have any ideas? And I think we might need a little more clarity.
Yeah, I need a little more clarification on the question.
Yeah, so Jill, if you'd like to submit a little bit more details for this question about product creation, that'd be great. If it's in regards to new types of computer society features and benefits, that's one thing. But if it's about new types of products, that's a little different. So please submit a little bit more details. That'd be wonderful. Next question. Do you have any suggestions for getting timely, excellent computer society speakers for a chapter meeting besides the DVP program or the distinguished lecturers? Hot topics that we need include mobile development, security, wireless, IoT, networks, new languages, and development environments. So I guess in general, how to get additional computer society speakers for chapter meetings beyond what we have in our DVP program.
So what I would suggest is, probably 2 main suggestions. One would be look to your local companies and go visit them and find out if they have people that would be willing to come talk about these items. But my other suggestion, which I've made use of several times, is to contact other chapters outside of your section, maybe other chapters in your region, and find out who they've had come talk, especially if you have some chapters that aren't too far away. You can share speakers. We've shared distinguished lecturers also with other chapters that were in different sections. But it's a good resource to talk to them about what speakers they brought in, where they came from, how that worked out. Was it a good speaker? Make use of other chapters, other computer society chapters, and also make use of other technical society chapters that may have topics of interest. You may find that in your section, I used this example before, the Robotics and Automation Society chapter has had a lecturer there that sounded very interesting that would be of interest to some of your computer people. So invite that person to come and talk at a computer chapter meeting.
That's great, Jill. Any other comments regarding additional speakers? Okay, so it looks like we are out of questions. We can wait a few more seconds here if there are any of remaining participants that would like to submit a question. Okay, so it looks like we have come to the end of our webinar today on chapters. I'd like to thank Jill Gostin for this very informative presentation. And so everybody knows, our next Learning Series webinar will be on Thursday, May 26th at 11 o'clock Eastern. And that'll be by our first Vice President, David Ebert, and entitled Publications. So please stay tuned for the next installment of the webinar series on Thursday, May 26th at 11 Eastern about publications. The registration for that will be open on Monday, and you'll see an email regarding that next webinar. A special thanks to all of our members today for taking the time to attend and participate in our webinar. And thank you to everyone for connecting and learning and being involved with the IEEE Computer Society. Have a great day.